So today we're going to talk about section 1.1, which is exponents, order of operations, and inequalities. Feel free to pause this video anytime you think you have issues, to rewind or to contact your teacher. So let's talk about exponents. Exponents have two parts. You have a big number and you have the small number. The big number is called the base, and this is called the exponent. The base tells you what you're multiplying. The exponent tells you how many times. So 3 to the 4th power is actually 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Now, you don't get a calculator on the first test, so the easiest way to do this is to do it in parts. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 9 is 81. So that's your answer. So what about 5 to the 4th power? That would be 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. This would be 25. This would be 25. 25 times 25, so it'd be 625. All right, let's try a fraction. A fraction to a power means the exact same thing. This is 2/3 times 2/3. Remember, when you multiply fractions, you do top times top. 2 times 2 is 4, and bottom times bottom. 3 times 3 is 9. And that would be your answer because you can't reduce 4/9. All right, let's talk order of operations. Many of you may have learned order of operations in school as PEMDAS or Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. Now, when you do order of operations, there's a certain way you have to do your operations. If you learned Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally, which is how I learned it because I've been in school, I've been teaching school forever. Please stood for parentheses, and I can't spell, just an FYI. Please excuse exponents. My dear goes together with multiply or divide, whichever comes first in the problem. And then you had Aunt Sally, which is add or subtract, whichever comes first. So if we look at this problem, we actually do the division first. I like to underline my problems so I know what I'm doing first. So 72 divided by 3. 2 goes into 3 is 6. 3 goes into 12 4 times, would be 24. And then bring down what's left over, times 4. 24 times 4, 4 times 4 is 16. Carry the 1, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So you'd get 96. So just remember the Please Excuse My Dear Aunt Sally. All right, let's try 9 divided by 4 times 6. Actually, we're going to do 9 plus 4 because I don't want to do divide with fractions yet. So in this problem, I would do multiplication first. So 6 times 4 is 24. Bring down the 9 plus. 9 plus 24 is 33. So now let's do a hard one where we have fractions. All right, so let's look at a fraction. These come from your homework, so I'm not trying to be mean. 5/3 times 1/2 plus 2/5 times 3/2. So you're going to do, now, since these are both multiplication separated by an addition sign, you can actually do these at the same time. So let's do our first fraction. 5 times 1 is 5. 3 times 2 is 6. And we're going to do our second fraction. Remember, the plus stays in between them. 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10. So now I have 5/6 plus 6/10. Now, the first thing I must do is find a common denominator. I like to write my common denominator additions vertically because I can see things a little bit easier. Now remember, when you add fractions, you have to have a common denominator. What's the denominator of 6 and 10? Now, that means what's a number that both 6 and 10 will go into? It can't be 3 because 6 doesn't go into 3, 10 doesn't go into 3. It's got to be a number that is at least the largest, 10, or bigger. So I will always look at my largest denominator. My largest denominator is 10. Will 6 go into 10? No. So what's the next multiple of 10? 20. Will 6 go into 20? No. What's the next multiple of 10? 30. Will 6 go into 30? Yes. Now, there is another way to find your common denominator. If you make a 6 and a 10 with a backwards division and find a number that goes into both 6 and 10, that would be 2, giving you 3 and 5. If you multiply all of these together, you get your common denominator. What's 2 times 3? 6. 6 times 5? 30. So now, let's figure out what our new numerator is. What do I multiply times 6 to get 30? 5. You have to do the exact same thing to the top. 5 times 5 is 25. What do you multiply times 10 to get 30? 3. So what's 6 times 3? 18. So now let's add, since I can't talk. 25 plus 18. You add your numerators, your denominator stays the same. 25 plus 18 is 43. And here's the great thing, you get to leave it improper. All right, let's try one more of these. We're going to kick it up a notch. Okay, so my first step would be to do parentheses. So I copy everything back down. 3 squared plus 5 times, what's 7 minus 5? 2. My next one is exponents. So 3 squared is 9. I then have to do multiplication. And then I add. That wasn't too bad. All right, you ready for a big one? It's gonna rock your world. All right, we're gonna do it step by step, so don't worry. And I'm not trying to be mean. I am just giving you one that you will see on your homework. Not this exact problem, but one very similar to it. All right, so let's go ahead and just do all of the parentheses because we can do them all at the same time. So I'm going to do all 3 parentheses. So this is going to give me 7, 9 plus 7, 16, plus 4 parentheses. 4 minus 1 is 3, over 4 times, what's 6 minus 3? 3 minus 2 cubed. Now, when you have a number in front of a parentheses, that means to multiply. So I'm going to be multiplying 7 times 16, 4 times 3, 4 times 3, but I have to do this one first. So that's going to give me 7 times 16 plus 4 times 3 over 4 times 3 minus 2 to the third power. That's 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. All right, let's multiply. 7 times 16. 6 times 7 is 42. Carry the 1. 7 times 1 is 7. 8, 9, 10, 11. Plus 12 over 12 minus 8. So this would be 124 over 4. And then 124 divided by 4 is 31. Now I know I go fast. You are more than happy to pause as we go. All right, the last thing for 1.1 is going to be inequalities. Now, there are 4 types of inequalities. We have less than, greater than, less than and equal to, and greater than or equal to. So this is less than. This is greater than. This is less than or equal to. And then this is greater than or equal to. For example, if you had x is greater than 6, that means anything above 6. 6.1 to infinity. X is anything bigger than 6. But if you had x is greater than or equal to 6, that means it's 6 or bigger. This one is bigger than 6. All right, this is easier. So let's look at this one. They want you to solve each side and see if this is a true statement. What's 3 times 4? 12. What's 12 minus 5? 7. Is 7 less than or equal to 7? Yes. Now, if that would have been less than, then it would be false, but this is true. So let's look at this one. Now, those are just double brackets. Don't be scared. So we're going to go inside, inside, inside. This is what we do first. What's 5 plus 6? 11. Now we multiply. Now we add. Because it's still in parentheses. And now we multiply. 7 times 3 is 21. Is 111 less than or equal to 130? That is a true statement. And that is most of what 1.1 is. There's a last couple of problems are just rewriting words into symbols. For example, if I had 15 is equal to 5 plus 10, this would be as symbols 15 equals 5 plus 10. So remember, if you have any questions, just message me and I will be more than happy to help.